As Sung Kyung slowly opened her eyes, she saw An Hyo-seop standing beside her bed, gazing at her with a warm smile. Her heart skipped a beat as she felt a wave of love and affection for him wash over her. She couldn't help but feel grateful that he was there, watching over her while she slept. An Hyo-seop's heart was filled with joy as he watched Sung Kyung wake up. He had been admiring her sleeping form for a while now, and it was a moment he would never forget. As she looked at him, he could see the love and happiness in her eyes, and he knew that he was the luckiest man in the world to have her in his life. Sung Kyung sat up and stretched, feeling a little disoriented from her nap. She looked at An Hyo-seop and smiled, feeling grateful for his presence. They talked for a while, catching up on the latest news and events from work, and just enjoying each other's company. As they sat there, An Hyo-seop took her hand in his, and Sung Kyung felt a surge of affection for him. She knew that she was in love with him and that nothing could change that. She felt so lucky to have found someone who loved her for who she was, flaws and all. As the day went on, they went about their work, but the memory of their quiet moment together stayed with them both. They knew that they had something special, a love that was pure and true, and that they would always be there for each other. Through thick and thin, in the end, it was their love for each other that gave them the strength to face any challenge that came their way. As they left the hospital that day, they knew that they would always be there for each other, no matter what the future held. They were each other's rock, and nothing could ever change that. As they were joking around, An Hyo-seop suddenly grabbed Lee Sung Kyung's hand and pulled her closer to him. She could feel his breath on her face and her heart started to race. He looked deep into her eyes and said, "You know I'm just teasing you because I love you, right?" Lee Sung Kyung felt her face turning red as she realized how much she loved him too. They spent the rest of the night cuddling and talking about their future together. They dreamed of starting a family and growing old together. An Hyo-seop told Lee Sung Kyung that he would always be there for her, no matter what. They both felt so lucky to have found each other. The next morning, they woke up in each other's arms and An Hyo-seop surprised Lee Sung Kyung with breakfast in bed. She felt so loved and cherished by him. As they ate, they talked about their plans for the day and An Hyo-seop promised to make it a special day for her. They spent the day exploring the city and having fun together. They went to the park and played games, they visited the local museum and learned about the history of the city, and they even went shopping and picked out some new clothes for each other. As the sun started to set, An Hyo-seop took Lee Sung Kyung to a romantic dinner by the beach. They watched the waves crashing against the shore and talked about their love for each other. An Hyo-seop took her hand and looked deeply into her eyes. "I promise to always love you and take care of you," he said. Lee Sung Kyung felt tears in her eyes as she realized how much she loved An Hyo-seop. She knew that he was the one she wanted to spend the rest of her life with. They hugged each other tightly, knowing that they had found true love in each other's arms.
Hyo-seop kissed Sung Kyung. An Hyo-seop had always been fascinated by Lee Sung Kyung. He admired her intelligence, her dedication to medicine, and her unwavering passion for life. But it wasn't until that one fateful moment that he realized just how much he was in love with her. They were in the middle of a conversation when An Hyo-seop leaned in and kissed Lee Sung Kyung on the lips. She was taken aback at first, but the warmth of his embrace and the softness of his lips quickly melted away any resistance she may have had. In that moment, all of the words she had been saying to him suddenly became meaningless. She was lost in the embrace of her lover, and nothing else mattered. Lee Sung Kyung was a good girl, the kind of person who always put others before herself. She was a gifted doctor, with a passion for helping others that was matched only by her intelligence and dedication. Despite all of her accomplishments, Lee Sung Kyung had always felt a bit lonely. She longed for someone to share her life with, someone who could appreciate her for who she truly was. And when she met An Hyo-seop, she knew that he was the one. Their love was like nothing either of them had ever experienced before. They were the perfect complement to each other, with An Hyo-seop's calm and logical nature balancing out Lee Sung-kyung's creative and impulsive side. No one could break them apart. Not even the most difficult of circumstances. They were in love, and that was all that mattered. As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, Lee Sung-kyung knew that she had found her soulmate. With An Hyo-seop by her side, she was ready to take on whatever the world had in store for them. Together, they could conquer anything.